What is happening, everybody? Welcome to Tour Life. Today is Tuesday, March 25th, and we got an exciting show for you today. The entire internet was going bonkers with hole 18 Sprinkle Valley. We're going to jump into that right off the rip. We also have Missy Gannon joining us in a few to talk about it as well. Niklas will be joining us as well, talking about how he went back-to-back, something that's very hard to do, and not that many people do it, back-to-back at the Open at Austin. And we've got a lot more to break down. But first, Yuli, how's it going, brother?
It's going good. It's going good. Back home, first time in 3 weeks. Feels nice. Got home yesterday.
How long are you home for?
3 days.
Where are you going then?
I'm going to Brooksville,
Florida?
I'm going to go play the Throw Down the Mountain, yeah.
Oh. How similar of a course is that to the one that you played for the
No clue.
Okay.
No clue.
It might not even be the same course?
Maybe not. No, I was talking to the TD and he told me that there's some changes for flow problems or something, so I have no clue what I'm getting into.
Okay. Interesting.
But it's not that far away, and I wanted to go get a tournament in. I don't want to be rusty going into Kansas City. Will be my next tournament.
Okay, you're doing Kansas City wide open?
Yep, because I'm skipping MCO. I'm going to hang with the family that weekend. So
MCO, I actually will be there.
Wow, we're gonna miss each other. Yeah,
I won't be playing though. There's like 20 people on the wait list. So I don't think I'm going to get in, but I will be there. So we're going to do some, I think we're going to do like a filmed practice round with me and some of the foundation guys. Might do some, we'll probably be vending a little bit with foundation. And I think we might film some
you might
videos.
Because there's going to be a spot open.
Why is there going to be a spot open?
Because I'm not going.
But wouldn't that go to the first person on the wait list?
Yeah, but that's one closer to you, bub.
Oh, I see. Well, I need 21 people. So we'll see. But yeah, that'll be the first event I will be at least at. And then it looks like the first event I actually will be playing, I believe, is Des Moines. If that's correct, I think.
They're asking me if my mic's even on. Let me see if I can turn it up on my end a little more, but I'm pretty sure I'm all maxed out.
Yeah, see, I mean, I can turn, there are some people that come in a little bit late. The people that did not come in late, is our mics okay?
Here we go. How does that sound?
Because some people some people are coming in late, Yuli, and so they might be hearing at the beginning. They might have started at the beginning of the show and they're delayed when I was messing around with it.
Okay.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, okay.
So that's why I look at like Edwin and Marcos and people like that have been around for a while. Yeah, there's a bunch of people that are saying we're good. So like the people that once they start, I messed around with the audio, so we should be fine. Yeah, everyone's saying we're good. Okay,
I like that.
All right. How did your week go? I know we picked you for the.
That was a bad idea. That's a real bad idea. That's the worst pick of all time ever. No, you know what?
No, the worst pick of all time was Haley King, who wasn't even at the tournament.
We made some bad picks.
That was the worst pick of all time.
We made some bad picks.
She wasn't even at the tournament.
And my fault. That was my pick too, I think.
You're like walking around being like, you know what? I don't think I've seen Haley King this entire week. We should pick her.
Yeah, that was tough. That was tough. It was weird, man. I practiced, loved the place, loved both places. It was super windy. Felt amazing about my game. Started the tournament off. First time in 3 years, couldn't make a putt.
Oh, no. You had a bad putt.
The first round was the worst. That's what put me behind the 8 ball, dude.
Oh, no.
I landed at 4. Man, I feel so bad for the people following me. I landed at 40 feet to 30 feet 12 times. Didn't make a one of them. The most I've ever missed in a tournament. I missed 3 inside the circle, 3 like 20 footers. And then I had 8 putts in between that range. Not a lick. Not even close to. They all look good. Doink, high. I hit the band like 20. It was awful, man.
Was that the first time that you've ever had like a putting day that you couldn't like snap out of?
The thing is that like when I say I missed by a mile, I made good strokes. They just none of them went in.
Hmm.
I had a little nerviness to me. I don't know. I felt like I went in thinking I was gonna play bad.
It looked a little windy on the second round.
I mean, it was so bizarre. I'm telling you, I went over there. I missed a couple shorties, and I was like, here's the thing. The chat's probably going wild because I've been noticing everybody be like what do you call it when they're talking like me? They go, here's the thing.
Oh.
So I just caught myself. But the thing is,
Yeah, talk to me.
I'm a phenomenal putter when it's calm. And I'm a better putter.
You were the best putter last year in Circle 1.
And I'm a better putter when it's super windy.
Okay, I like that.
When there's a baby breeze, I'm the
worst.
worst, dude. Dude, I am absolutely garbage. And I don't know why yet. I think it's because I put a slight nose up.
Okay.
And so I get these little baby lifts and these little baby drops. And so I'm aiming at my spot and the whole round, dude. I'm not kidding. It was the most. I'll probably post it because I do a Euler report on my YouTube channel, and I think Brad got a lot of these putts, and it was bad. It was just high, low, high, low, high, low, high, low, the whole time. Anyways, that's what happened. So I'm way behind. If I make my normal, putting, or even a little bit below normal, I shoot 5-6 under, and I'm fine. But I ended up shooting, I think, 1 over. And that just killed me.
Okay, well, you got a little fun stat for Edwin. You ready for it?
Oh, no.
Yuli missed 4 Circle 1 X putts this week at Austin. He only missed 4 Circle 1 putts total at chess.com, Waco, and Austin last year.
Man, that's what I'm saying.
That's tough.
That's bad,
dude. That's tough. All right, we're not going to wait any longer. Let's get her in. Missy Gannon says, I'm not afraid to come on Tour Life and talk to the boys. Missy joining Tour Life once again. How's it going, Missy?
Good. How are you guys? Thanks for having me.
Well, first off, is it the shoulder? Is that what's causing some issues right now? Is that what I saw?
Yeah. It's not an injury. It's just between Waco and Austin, I think I played almost 8 practice rounds, and I can't be doing that at 35. So about to be 36 this Saturday. So I learned that the hard way, and unfortunately I just didn't have enough time to recover. So I'll be fine. It's just some soreness, some, pretty good tightness, but
gotcha.
We'll be all right.
You know what I like about that though? Other people in the field would be like, I'm injured. Like this,
Yeah.
She comes on the show. It's like, it's not an injury. I'm tired. Most people though, I'm telling you, in the field that we play in, a little oh my gosh, I'm so hurt. Wham.
Mm-hmm.
I like that.
We got to find you a cold tub, cold tank.
Yeah, cold plunge.
Gosh, I know I hate cold water, but yeah, I might have to do it.
Well, I appreciate you coming on because the last thing I wanted to do was get all my takes out on hole 18, Sprinkle Valley, and then just hear from people being like, wow, you didn't play, you didn't get it. So I wanted someone that played it. We have Yuli that played it on the MPO side. We had you that played it on the FPO side. And before I jump in and say my takes, I want to hear from both of you. Missy, you can start on what your takes are on the hole, what you liked about the hole, what you didn't, what needs to be changed, if anything. And you have the floor.
All right. Yeah. Honestly, I've gone back and forth so many times about this hole in my head, talking to Tom about it. And it's one of those things that I feel like it was like a shock to the system or something. Like, we don't have to deal with a lot of those psychological challenges on courses most of the time. And especially the stroke and distance style. We've only seen it a couple times on tour. Some of the people in the field may have never seen it if they've never been to European Open, if they've, maybe never played USDGC course. I don't know. But we just don't see it that often. And I think I really like those psychological challenges. Now, I will say that during US Women's, of last year, the difference of that hole was that the where it was OB to make the green and island, that was all inbounds. That pathway over the stairs down, but there was OB on both sides. So it still was like a tunnel-y shot, but it still played over stroke over par every single round. So it was showing to be challenging even without that stroke and distance rule on the final shot. So I don't know that I think when we see a hole that averages one stroke over par or a little bit more, we tend to be okay with it most of the time. Definitely not like the outrage or the polarizing thoughts about this hole that we saw this year, but it did play hard. And I will say that there were a lot more women in the field last year, as U.S. Women's usually has a much larger field in the professional on the professional side. But this year I think we had 50-ish women. I feel like we've been getting about 50 pretty consistently, but I don't know if it was a preparation thing. Let me say this first. I had a putt for bogey both rounds.
Okay.
For a bogey 6, both rounds. I ended up taking an 8 and a 7. Whatever. But
one of those weeks.
Yeah. I mean, the first round I had a putt from just somehow in circle 2, even though the island is only about maybe a circle 2 on the backside by a few feet, right? Usually, probably. So the first round, I think I was just excited to have a putt for bogey, and I ended up just sailing it OB and straight past the basket, over the basket OB. So that was an unfortunate 8, and then the next day I went OB off the tee actually. So that's already like ramping up my anxiety, because now I'm like, I haven't even gotten to the hardest part of the hole yet, and I'm already going in there with an extra stroke. Anyway, I think I'm rambling a little bit, but I think overall it's give us more reps on that hole, and I think the average would get better. I think that it was, again, just a very busy week, hard to get enough practice. Maybe people were underprepared and didn't quite understand exactly where their best landing zones would be.
Sure.
I made sure that I was just left of center right before the stairs, whether it was whether it was on my second shot or my, if I had to lay up my third shot, because I was more comfortable throwing that baby hyzer up to the green.
Yeah. Yep.
So I definitely made a note of that, and I made sure that if I could, that was what I was trying to do. Again, I don't know. I can't speak for everybody. I don't know. Obviously, some people are more confident throwing those 150-foot shots forehand. But realistically, you had to at least try to go OB long, right? I think that was our safe play in a way. At least try to cross the island and get to the drop zone. Again, in theory, that should be easy, but it just seemed to be an issue for a lot of people. But in general, I don't mind a challenge like that. Psychological, again, in theory, it should be a pretty basic shot that we can all make. But sometimes it doesn't happen like that. And so in general, I actually don't have a problem with the hole. There are things to say about the 5-card backups. That's a problem with course flow. I think there were 4 cards on hole 18 at once.
Yeah, so this this kind of ties into something I want to say before Yuli, you pop in here in a second, is just where the FPO field is. A lot of people throw out averages, and they're saying this hole played 3 strokes over par or whatever. And it's like, there's people in the field that were 40 over par for 3 rounds, guys. Like, we have people that are And obviously I know that, we'll get to Kristin here in a second, but I mean, there's plenty of people that are 30 shots off the lead. And it's like, do we really want those people to be factoring in the averages? I don't think so. I don't think that makes much sense. And then to add on to your backups, again, at a certain point in time, I don't think we should have people in the field that are 50 shots after 4 rounds. Like someone played 4 rounds, and I know like the winner was -1, right? So it's not like people are lighting it up. So they were 50 shots off the lead after 3 rounds. If they would have played all 4 rounds, they would have probably been 65 shots off the lead. Like there's just a lot of people right now, and I get it. We're trying to grow the FPO division. We're trying to get more people out there playing. But I think that's an issue right now. You have a lot of people that, quite frankly, don't deserve to be playing that course. And that's why you're going to having 5-card backups, because you have people that are taking 10s on 12s on like multiple holes. It's
yeah.
I don't know how you fix that.
Yeah, right. And I actually had looked up. I had just chosen the top 10 in FPO PDGA World Rankings, and I took that average for hole 18, and nice. I think it averaged. I have it in my notes, but it's on my phone that I'm using right now, so I don't know how to do that. But I think it only averaged like 1.6 over par the first day, which again I think we've seen, and there was only one person that took a double-digit score on hole 18 out of those top 10 players. Yep. And so like that's again a pretty drastic difference between that's almost half what the scoring average was for the field. So I think there is something to say about how to pare it down to really get a better picture of how that hole actually played. And like I said, I think more reps and more practice on that hole, I don't know that you would see the average that we saw, but that's just speculation.
Yuli, what are your thoughts on hole 18?
Well, Missy, so good hole or bad hole, in your opinion?
Generally speaking, I think it was a good hole.
Okay. I have a lot of thoughts about this hole. So I got a lot of things to unpack here.
Yeah.
I think that the design in general makes the hole could possibly be one of the best that we play. And I think there's a couple things that they would need to change to actually make it the best final hole that we play. And it has to do with the thought of the hole is actually brilliant. Pretty easy shot off the tee, gets a little bit harder, gets really hard. I like that thought. The problem is the second shot, there's a lot of stuff in the way. And we had a bunch of wind that was like keeping you like to throw underneath this stuff. And it was just kind of a random lie. I think if you clear out the second landing zone, then we have a brilliant hole. Because
how big of a gap was that, Yuli?
It's small, man.
Is it smaller than it looks on camera?
Very much so. So like the only way to get into the proper spot is you either have to go super far off the tee, and then it's tough because you had a right to left crosswind, and you had these what do you call railroad ties stacked up.
Yep. Which
made it like a low ceiling. So you couldn't just jam something in there. You had to put something from left to right to keep it low. And then if you missed the angle, you got stable and you were skipping out of bounds left, which is what I did one of the rounds. So it was random. You could throw it through there, and then it's just a random landing zone. If you take out a couple of those trees and you allow the person to kind of get to their spots, everybody goes. And I think that's what we're looking for with a hole like that. I don't want to see, which I did myself, jump putt to a spot and then go over. Like I think.
Why don't you want to see that? See, because
No. I don't want to see that after a good shot.
Okay. To me, again, I didn't play it, so I'm just going off of the visuals. To me, it looked like a wide enough gap if you were on the right side of the fairway.
So that's false. It's actually a tighter gap if you're on the right side. You want to be left center, and then it creates the bigger gap into the green. Right side, you're pinched.
So what I wrote down, and correct me if I'm wrong, what I wrote down is if you're on the right side of the fairway, you almost have to throw like a hyzer flip shot through, which is probably pretty challenging. If you're on the
you'd have to throw like almost a bendy left to right shot with something stable to keep the height to get into the green if you're on the right side.
Okay.
Yeah. So anyways,
I guess it was deceiving the angle of the cameras from Jomez.
I think it's hard to see how tall those railroad tie walls are too, in perspective to where you're like, because we're throwing uphill that entire time.
Gotcha.
So those railroad ties are even higher up on the hill. You know, it feels gradual, but yeah.
But don't you like the idea that your first shot requires good? Because I've always said too much of disc golf is either you need to land it somewhere left and right and the distance doesn't matter, or you have to get the distance right and left and right doesn't matter. What it sounds like you're telling me is like there's a good spot to land off the tee, distance and left to right.
Not with the right to left crosswind. I'm telling you, it's a random shot. You could throw the greatest shot ever and catch something in the middle. Like the shot didn't, to me, the best shot, honestly, to get to the spot was actually the left gap. All the way over on the left because there's nothing there. So if you throw a sidearm or something through there, that was the best gap. It's just then you're pushing towards the out of bounds. So everybody took on the luck gap. Everybody took on the luck gap to try to get through and then hopefully get a spot. And everybody was landing by these two trees on the right. So my point is this. Let me finish.
Yeah.
My point is this. If we throw a shot and you land it in that spot, you pitch up with a good shot or a bad shot, two people getting to the same spot. I don't like that. I want a bad shot to either go or pitch up and a good shot to either go or pitch up. So you have the options. This was random. Now the second green or the third green, the island, great. Love the concept. I don't think we have that enough.
Yuli, were you thinking I was talking about the first or second shot? Sorry. Just so we're on the same page.
Second shot.
No, I'm talking about the drive.
Yeah, that doesn't matter. You can put it wherever you want. You still have the same gap. There's no height going into there because of the right to left. If it's perfectly calm, yes, there's a certain spot you could land to where you could control a shot in there. But with the wind, we didn't have the option.
Gotcha.
The only way to control a perfect shot would be going left side because of the crazy right to left crosswind.
Gotcha.
Okay. That's just my opinion. But anyways.
That makes sense.
So I lost my thought.
Sorry. I just want to make sure we are on the same page.
You're
talking about good shot, bad shot, and you want people to be able to go for it or lay up.
Yeah. So if the second spot has two tunnels going in and they're pretty manageable, I want you to get rewarded with a good shot there, and a bad shot, then I have to make a decision. I also want, if you make that island, if it's a little bit wide open, you can kind of go from all kinds of places because that's what you want to see. And then I want people to be able to, I'm not good at this shot, pitch up, that's fine, and then try to go. Now, to talk about the last island, it's one of my favorite things because in our game, we don't have holes where people dissect it like we were just talking about with Missy saying, hey, the miss is deep. That's 100% right, the miss is deep. You got to go deep.
Yep.
And then if you throw a good shot, you have the 40-footer coming back because that's where I was both rounds. I had the same putt. I went all the way back to the railroad ties because I'm a golfer. I'm not going to come up short in that scenario. And we don't have that. Lay the putt up, get a bogey, you're beating most of the field anyway. I had a 7. I went OB on my second shot, trying to go the left gap to get into the perfect spot or whatever. And then the first round, I made the island and I had the putt for, I don't know, for birdie or whatever. But I had to go from like 320 out. It was silly. Anyways, my point is, like Missy said, there's nothing that we play where you have this psychological warfare by yourself on a hole. Like nobody's applying pressure. The pressure's already there 3 holes before. You're like, oh gosh, 18's going to be kind of crazy. This could end my round. And then I think like in traditional golf, putting, you have to have it's like a nervy skill. I don't think, putting in our game is a nervy skill, but I think a 200-foot upshot is almost as nervy if it's going to a small island like that. And we completely got rid of that shot over the course of however many years to where it's not even a real thing. Like we're never having to throw a 200-foot shot to a tiny area, which I think this hole did perfectly. And if you can't throw that shot under pressure, you got problems.
Mhm.
I don't think anyone talks about this hole if it's a par 3 and the tee is like 20 feet behind the stairs.
No, it's normal.
I don't think
Mhm.
anyone says anything like, "Oh my god, this hole's terrible." I think you look at it like it's a 200-foot shot.
So
It's a pretty big gap, 200-foot shot, but
So-
it's the
so-
fact that big numbers happen, and I also don't think it helped that the number 1 player in the world also took big numbers on it.
I had a
right?
lot of people on my card afterwards being like, this hole's a joke. And I took a 7. I'm like, this is one of the best holes I played. I love it. I love the fact that, I got to get to this spot, this spot, this spot. I have a decision to make, and now I have to throw a 200-foot shot. Otherwise, I'm going to lose the tournament. Like, great. Put a little pressure on the field. Like, I feel like most of our courses that we play are cakewalks.
So
Mhm.
I made a lot of notes, and I'm going to run through them. And if you guys disagree with anything, jump in and cut me off, and we'll discuss. But these were my notes after watching. I watched both FPO rounds playing the hole, and I watched both MPO rounds playing the hole. And this is what I gathered from it. So the first one is similar to what Yuli was saying. The approach shot into the green actually requires touch, a shot that we very rarely ever have to use, where you actually are throwing uphill, but you can't just power something. We saw a lot of players trying to throw flex shots, and it was flexing out. I think Niklas did a great job when I watched him play this hole with a nice buttery little backhand. Some other people are throwing some nice throws, but I saw like Sarah Hokum struggle throwing just the wrong shot. Kristin, I think, also was kind of throwing the wrong shot in there. So it's a shot that we don't get to see very often, of where you don't have anything to throw the disc into. The disc has to fall out of the sky by itself, and a lot of people struggled with that shot. I think the biggest issue for me with this hole was just how vastly different it was from every other hole on the course. The gap was too big. And instead of looking at hole 18 and saying, all right, well, we need to make this hole easier. No. Why don't we go that direction? Why don't we make more holes challenging on the course? Because to me, I think that was the only thing that was really my issue, other than you being able to just launch it long, like Holland did one round where she was like 150 feet past the basket and got a drop zone putt. That I didn't like that. But why not make other holes harder? Because you're putting so much emphasis on this hole, and I don't like that. I don't like the fact that your tournament could be decided by this one hole, where if the majority of the course plays tough, right? I'm not saying make every hole super difficult, but what if we had 9 holes that played that way? One, players would have to really quickly learn how to play golf and not disc golf, which is just attack, throw. I mean, I heard on Jomez, the FPO commentators, someone threw a disc like 20 feet short. It skipped up into the railroad ties, and they ended up being like, 10 feet short of the basket, OB. And they were complaining that shot's 10 feet from the basket, OB. It's like, last I checked, we all know 10 feet short of the basket was OB.
Mhm.
Yeah,
That's
put
a
a lake
that-
right there, and
that's-
there's no problem.
That's a bad shot. So I don't know why you think 10 feet for the basket needs to be a good shot. So to me, let's make more holes this way. And then I think you'd see the cream rise to the crop. People would actually start playing disc golf. We'd actually see, I mean, the fact that we saw emotion come out of Kristin like that from this hole, that just shows you like the potential that disc golf has when you actually make a good hole that really breaks down these pros. And imagine a pro going through that whole course well. Like, that's why we love Northwood Black. We've seen Paul Macbeth, one of the best players of all time, crumble at that course before. And other people, when, Andrew Presnell played it well, that makes it even more special versus a course that we see all the time where people are shooting 14, 15 under and everyone else is shooting 10 under. It's not that impressive. So I think make the other holes harder. Yeah, go ahead.
Disc golf dabbled in this from about 2009 to 2012.
Yep.
To where we were almost going in this direction of everything was super tough, because first of all, the skill level wasn't all that great.
Yeah.
Compared to now.
Sure.
And so going like to the USDGC, that course was before its time. And so you would go there, and guess what? Even par. If you shot the first time I ever went to USDGC, if you shot even par across the board, you made the cut, you got paid. That's not a thing anymore, really. You know, and the courses have gotten harder. So people were taking 20s and whatever, and they didn't like that. For some reason, people are so obsessed with this speed of play bull crap. Like if it's a hard hole and it's windy and you got 4 cards on there, that's psychological too. That happens in golf. Like, sorry, you have a couple people on a couple groups,
and
on
now
the
go
thing.
away once players are better. Like,
and, well, we only had 2 groups on 18. It wasn't that bad at all. I remember back in the day. On hole 888 at USDGC, you had such a long wait that we went to McDonald's.
Go get food, yeah.
We went to McDonald's, came back, and they allowed us to putt before we played the hole again because it was such a long backup. It was crazy. People weren't.
And the backups will get better and better as the players get better and better, right?
Sure, but I don't know why we took a left turn from that, and now it's like, okay, yeah. You go take it from over there. Oh, here's a drop zone. Improve 350 feet. It's okay. Like at this point, I feel like is a perfect time for people to start being like, or course designers to start being like, no, let's punish them. Let's get these guys better. Like okay, everybody throws far sidearm, throws far backhand. That's done. It's the real thing. You watch the tour play and everybody's doing that. So how are you going to challenge them now? Oh, there's no shot shapes. Everybody has it all. It's the mind that you're going to have to start challenging these guys. It's the mind. Other than that, like everybody can throw good shots. Everybody can make every putt. Everybody can play perfect. But once you have a hole or multiple holes, like you're saying, Brody, where it's like, dang, do I go for this or am I going to just chip around? And you're
going to be mentally drained at the end of the day.
You're going to be mentally drained, and you're going to have to make sure that you're in good shape. You're in good mental health. Like there's no party the night before. There's nothing.
Guess what else that helps? The people watching, because it's actually not that enjoyable for me to just watch Missy step up and throw a backhand, then throw an approach shot, then make a putt, then go to the next hole, throw a backhand, It's more exciting and especially for the announcers when they're like, what is Missy going to do here? She's got a 250 force carry. Do we see Missy go for it here? Is she going to lay? Like, there's never really that much questioning in disc golf. Everyone knows what everyone's going to do before because it's so obvious. So force carry, that's my other thing. Force carries cause chaos. I love it. We need more force carries. The fact that hole 18 at Harvey is actually like a really good finishing hole. But the fact that I just wish that we could pull Holland and Kristin up and put them on sprinkle hole 18 for that final round just to see what kind of chaos would happen. That just tells me how good of a hole that is. Some people have mentioned that they would like to see hazard around the island instead of OB. I think that gets rid of the pressure of having to complete that shot completely. So I don't like that idea. You could do the bunker rule. So to make it like a little bit less punishing, you could just simply do a bunker rule where you can advance to where it last was inbounds, but you just rethrow versus taking the penalty stroke. So that is a way to make it next year not as punishing for FPO.
I can't stand that rule either. Like, why are we making up rules?
I'm throwing stuff out there that people have talked about. I'm not a huge fan of these, but those were things that people have talked about. I did like that there was an official on the hole determining whether or not shots crossed in bounds. If there was an official, I think chaos would have been really, really bad. At the end of the day, too, we got to remember it's a 150-foot shot from the stairs. So just remember, most of these shots that people weren't able to execute were less than 200 feet away, guys. That's probably closer to a lot of the holes you play on some of your local courses.
Hey, here, one more point.
Go for it.
Let's think about the 2 courses that have the greatest finishes of all time always. And then they gave that stupid bunker rule to freaking European Open. And they ruined it on hole 17. Remember when AB had the lead, goes in there, and all of a sudden drama occurred, and it was fantastic. And we have this great moment of Corey Ellis clutching up, or 16, parking 17, getting 18 and winning the tournament. There's so many moments like that. USDGC, you don't come into this sport without knowing and hearing the stories of USDGC. and going and then being like, man, someday I want to play that. I want to feel that pressure going down the stretch to win a USDGC. Like, what are these holes? What do these holes have? They have, oh, wait, I could take a big number on this one, and it's not that hard of a hole. It's a mental challenge. And I don't know.
Well, I think that's why no one really says too much about 17 at USDGC, because you can take a huge number on hole 3 at USDGC. You can take a huge number on 5, on 18, on 12, on 14. I mean, there's like so that's kind of like, I think that's where I would like this hole to go. The last thing I will say, and then Missy, I'll get your closing thoughts on it. I just take away the flukiness. So maybe there is a tree, or maybe cut some of the limbs so the ceiling's a little bit higher for that second shot into that landing zone. So remove that flukiness, because I couldn't really see that well from the video. Remove that flukiness. I love the fact that this hole required you to place all 3 shots. Like you said, Yuli, if your drive got too far left, it's going to skip OB, right? Like I saw that from a lot of players. So you're having to push the right side, but then that's scary, because if your disc turns like Kristin's did in one of the rounds, it doesn't come back. Now you're OB early. Missy, I'm assuming, did you go OB left or right?
Off the tee, I went OB left. It was a ripping crosswind, and I threw like right in the middle of the grassy part of the fairway. Took a big skip, and then I think I was like 2 inches OB. But
it's scary for you to have to hang it that far out right and hope that it comes back, right? So the tee shot, I think, is like pressure on putting it in the right spot. Obviously, the second shot, get rid of the flukiness, but still, from what I saw, like, good shots got to good spots if they hit the gap correctly, and bad shots kind of got held up. I think I saw like Mason Ford, for example, he threw too low and he hit that kind of dip and he was just too far back. And I mean, heck, we saw Holland. Holland threw a terrible layup. Holland was literally jump putting to try to put herself in position to go over, and then ended up throwing a terrible layup to then she had a jump putt layup again. Like, when do we ever get to see that? Like, you can't just take a break on that hole and be like, oh, my jump putt layup was 50 feet away from where I'm trying to go. I'm still just going to be able to throw it by the basket. Like, it punished you for not putting your shot, your layups, your shots in the right spot. And then that shot going over the OB. I just loved it, because the other thing you saw is as soon as someone threw one shot OB, that second shot got drastically harder for them. And I love that. There's no bailout. There's no, oh, well, if I throw the second shot OB, I get to advance to a drop. No, you sit there and stew in it. And I love that, man. I love that, because that is the thing that's missing in disc golf. There are so many times where, and this is last thing I'll say, and then Missy, you go. The one thing that I think is struggling in the FPO division is just the field depth. It's not there yet. The MPO side is getting deeper and deeper. Hence why we saw Simon Lizotte, who got second at Waco, didn't even make the cut this week, right? Not that many people are talking about that. But when the field is the way it is in FPO, if a top player doesn't have a good week, it's very noticeable. If Kristin has a bad week, it's very noticeable, because she's on the lead card. She's having a bad week. She's on the league. Simon's not on the lead card having a bad week. We don't see Simon ever, right? So it's like you're seeing actually Kristin struggling and shanking shots. And so I think that's the big thing, is like, once the FPO field gets deeper, when players are struggling, because that happens in golf, because golf is difficult. People struggle. I just don't want to look at a tournament that Missy struggles at, or Kristin struggles at, or Holland struggles at, and be like, this course sucks. It's like, no, you should be playing a sport that Steph Curry sometimes goes out and goes 2 for 10 from 3. He has an off night. It's okay to have an off week. And I think right now, the way that disc golf is set up and the way that people want disc golf to go is they want to see Paul McBeth go out and shoot 16 under everyone. They want to see Kristin go out and shoot 14. That to me is boring. Show me when players are struggling, and show me what happens and how they bounce back. Missy, you have the floor.
Yeah, I think just to say, to kind of complement that point, is that, like you said, it was because it was Kristin or because it was whoever that was shooting a bad score on that hole. It diminishes all of the other people who maybe you aren't seeing on coverage that were able to get a par, that were able to get a birdie, that were able to manage that hole correctly. You know, I think that it's important for us to zoom out a little bit and take into consideration that we do have a smaller field and that there should be these psychological challenges, especially for the top women in our sport. You know, I loved it because, like you said, if Holland had to pitch up twice, that's because she was probably already thinking about the fact that she has to now make this next shot. You know, she was already thinking about going to the island before she was maybe laying up. I'm speculating, so sorry, Holland, if I'm lying. But you know, there's a potential that she was thinking ahead, and that took her focus off of how important just a simple layup was. And then, you know, maybe I think we talked about this last year. I don't know if you remember, but even hole 17 at Sprinkle is the island hole. You know, we were talking about how there's kind of a cap on the score that you could get on that hole because you go directly to a drop zone that's a putt. Why don't, you know, back to back, we make that also stroke and distance. Maybe we have to throw 4 shots before we can advance. That would be crazy. Two holes in a row. But like you said, maybe it's
all
something
the holes turn that way. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it could get interesting. I think, yes, it's hard to, like, where we are growing as an FPO field, and it feels like there's this like over generalization of like the top players should always shoot good or something, you know, and that's not necessarily what happens. And I think we saw that with hole 18 at Sprinkle. And honestly, again, it was the first 2 rounds of a 4-round event. That wasn't even our finishing hole, like you just said. It was just a halfway point, and like
just a hole.
It was just a hole, and you had 2 more rounds at a totally different course. Like we saw, you know, just because Kristin took 2 11s on 18, it didn't diminish her chances of winning. It made it harder, but she was right there at the end. And I mean, that speaks to Kristin being able to battle and all of those things. But like, it wasn't the end of the world that she took 2 11s on hole 18. It just is not something we see ever. And I think that it's more exciting when we do.
No, I can't agree with you more there. I want to see more of it. And just the contrast, last thing we'll say here, the contrast of watching Jomez was actually pretty funny because each time they showed Kristin like struggling on the hole. And then literally the next group that they showed after round 1, 3 of the 4 FPO players landed on the island first attempt. And then in round 2, after they showed her getting a 9, the next person is Kat Murch. The next shot, literally after Kristin gets a 9, the next shot they show is Kat Murch tapping in a birdie putt. And so I'm like, where's the outrage here? Like if there's outrage, no one should be birdieing this hole. Like if that was the case and no one birdied it, no one parred it, and everyone's getting 7s, 9s, 10s, it's like, all right, maybe there's something wrong with this. But it's like clearly there were FPO players that knew how to play the hole and played the hole well. And that's my whole thing is like, show me the disc golf that you have to execute shots and you also can't be dumb. And that's what I want to see. Because right now, the perfect example is Gannon. When Gannon was on here and I was talking about forced carries, Mandos, and doing all this, he said, I don't want to do that. He's like, that doesn't sound fun. And why? Because he is the best disc golfer right now with how the game is played. Why would he want to add in an extra element, an extra variable that could factor into how good he plays? And I'm like, I want to see that. I want to see the chaos. So I don't know. We'll see where it goes. I mean, I applaud them for doing it. And Missy, I applaud you coming on here and not doing what a lot of the FPO players and even like Yuli's saying, some of the MPO players that just say that hole sucked and not really like breaking it down and for what it is. And I think hopefully that'll be better.
One thing too is they changed the rule. Like it was like you just kept going and they changed it the day
4.
before.
Yeah, 4 shots, right?
No, I think
If you throw OB 4, if you throw the OB 4 times, I think you advance to the drop zone. Is I think what it is. Is that what you're saying?
No, that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is there was a qualifier, and there was 2 guys who took 24s. So there wasn't 4 shots. That's the way the rule was, and they stopped and they changed the rule.
No, I'm saying in the tournament, that's what they said in the tournament. Is if you miss the island 4 times, you advance.
Yes.
You're saying before that
there was none.
You just
they
keep
changed
reloading.
it because everybody was whining about it.
They had to tape an extra sheet of paper onto the tee pad.
It's crazy.
Onto the tee sign.
Well, we got a lot of people in these tournaments that shouldn't be in these tournaments, Yuli. Let's be honest.
No. We got a lot of softies out there who shouldn't be changing holes. Like, that's the way the holes played. Let's play it. Everybody got scared because of all the people complaining in practice, being like, this is too hard. And so they changed it for the people. It's like, if you're a course designer, you're running a tournament, and this is the way in practice you made us play. Keep it that way. Unless, of course, there's like a big storm and then the water goes up and like, you know what I mean? Or it's 90 mile an hour winds and that wasn't the case. I think that's a big boo-boo. Anyways, sorry, Missy.
You're good.
There's no shot disc golf is like quick to change stuff when they hear a couple people complain, right? That's never happened.
Hey, if they're willing to do this, let's make holes harder then the day before the tournament.
Well, and also just to be completely clear, we technically did have a bailout. You could have juiced it just straight over the island. So we did have I don't know why people were coming up short so often. It just didn't make any. It's hard to throw a driver directly into a crowd of people, but if that's what you got to do to make it easier on yourself, then that's what you do. You know,
Missy, this is why people are trained at every level to try to throw the disc as close to the basket as possible. That's all they care about. And there's whenever we have a hole where it's like, hey, if you land on the left side, guess what? You don't have a putt. Guess what we hear from everyone? That sucks. I'm 20 feet away. I don't have a putt. It's like, did those trees just magically grow? We all knew if you go left, you don't have a putt, land right. And that's the whole thing is like, it's a 150-foot shot. If you really are scared, do what Holland did and just juice it 150 feet past go up there.
Hey, good shot.
Yes, go up there, lay up and take your bogey and move on. Like if you did that both days, that's actually not that bad. Like if I saw that, I would change that rule for next year. And be like, okay, that's the Simon Lizotte rule back at Deglo, right? We saw him kind of do that. So I don't know. I love chaos. I love seeing it. And to me, it's like the more that pros complain, that tells me how good a hole is. Because if they're complaining about being too hard, there's a good chance that I'm actually may be good. So, Missy, do you have anything else for the people? This was awesome for you coming on and talking.
No. Yeah, I appreciate you guys inviting me on. We'll see where the sport goes. I think we're gonna be all right. It was only one hole, guys. We're gonna be fine.
Last question to you. Last question. If disc golf continues to nerf holes for FPO, or what I like to say, like kind of handcuff the FPO field, and is like, we don't want to do this because it's FPO. Do you think FPO would continue to get better? Or if they continue to put challenging holes out there, wouldn't that force FPO players to be like, wait, I actually have to get this skill. I actually have to be able to throw this shot. Is that a good take or a bad take?
Yeah, I think yes, in general, yes. Even over the course of the last few years, while we do have some courses that maybe have been eased up on for us, I think you're seeing it already. I mean, you're seeing it. I'm a prime example. I can't not have a forehand. I have to have some type of forehand, and that's just one skill, and I have a lot I need to continue to add in. But I think the biggest argument with that is just, again, we don't have like the numbers, yes. And I think that's where we don't want to discourage anybody who's potentially looking to become a professional disc golfer, taking those steps and being like, I don't know that I want to because of X, Y, and Z or whatever. I think we're just still so small as a division, and it's just finding that balance of pushing us, but also being able to bring in the next generation.
I got a hot take with that though. I think you nerf it, you're not going to get as good of players coming up. You make it extremely hard. You're going to challenge the next generation, and those are going to be the better players that come up. And so, like, if you look at, I mean, just look at the MPO, for example. Over the last however many years, the courses have gotten longer, sidearms bigger. That's what you have to do. What do we see? We see that. You have to make longer putts. You have to do all this stuff. I mean,
we see it we see that FPO too. I mean, think of the biggest superstars just coming on the scene now. It's because they can throw 500 feet. And like that, why is that the thing that they feel like they need to be the best at? And it's because it's just the precedent that we're setting, rather than throwing these nose up 150-foot shots to a tight landing zone. So.
Yeah. I mean, I gotta say, Simon's been wanting these type of shots. Now, I don't agree with his take of where you like wants an entire whole course that's like touch shots like that. Maybe one hole, maybe one tournament, but I still think that'd be kind of boring to watch. But I love those shots for like par 4 second shots, par 5 third shot. I love that. So, all right, Missy. Well, we appreciate you coming on here kind of last minute to talk. I think everyone in the chat really appreciate you coming on talking. Hopefully rest up that shoulder, get back out there, and look forward to seeing you back out there.
Yep. Thanks, guys. I'm going to go take a bath. Bye.
See you, Missy. There you have it, guys. Missy Gannon spitting the facts with us tonight over here on Tour Life. That was awesome for her to come on.
Yeah, really cool.
Definitely not a lot of people would do that. So appreciate her time coming on here.
Yeah, Brody, they changed the rule, dude.
That's crazy.
The day before the tournament.
That's not crazy, Yuli. They've done that so many times on us. Like you get the right people complaining.
I was so excited to see it. I knew people were going to take 20s, dude. Because you know why? Because they're not experienced.
Don't come on tour.
They're not experienced up here.
Yeah, if you take a 20, guess what? You shouldn't be on tour.
I got lucky enough to where when I first came in and you went to these courses, the biggest tournaments, like you had to have the mental game. You had to have it.
Yeah.
And so that was like something that like if you didn't have it, you were taking a 17 on 17. You were taking a 10. You go to the European Open, you're trying to win the only 2 majors we really play. You had to be mentally strong, otherwise you were cooked.
Yeah.
And we lost that. It's gone. It's gone.
Well, you know what's not gone? The 2-time Open at Austin. They call him the Finnish Cowboy. Niklas joins Tour Life once again. What up, brother? Congratulations, man.
What up? I made it somehow. I don't know how to use my phone, it looks like, but
no, you're good.
I made it.
You're good. Okay, so who came up with this nickname? Is this a self did you come up with it yourself or did someone else come up with it? Because it's one of the best nicknames I've heard in disc golf.
I think it was someone else for sure. I think when I was doing like signing after my win last year at the course, people were like calling me like Finnish Cowboy all the time. And then when I won again, people were doing like, you need to live up to your name. You're a Finnish Cowboy. And then, yeah, it came up like that somehow.
Do you like it?
Yeah, I think I like it. Yeah. First I was like, okay, I'm from Finland. I can't be a cowboy. But then I think it's a good nickname for sure.
I'm going to need you to win this next year because you actually look good in a cowboy hat. There's a lot of people on tour that I can't imagine wearing a cowboy hat, and if they put it on, it's just going to look really weird. So you got to keep winning this thing.
Okay, I will try.
We can't let someone else put this cowboy hat on. All right, so let's talk about it. What were your thoughts? Like, how were your feelings coming into the tournament, knowing that there was going to be a new course that you were going to have to, a brand new course that you're going to have to figure out and play for 2 rounds?
Yeah, I mean, my season up to this tournament hasn't been really good. I think I have been throwing all right, but my putting has been like really off. I mean, like I think I made 1 or 2 C2 putts in like the first 2 tournaments. That's pretty bad for me. And then as soon as I heard that we are going to play a wooded course, it sounded good to me. And when I got there, it was like almost like a confidence boost for me, because I feel like almost every hole was like, I saw it for the first time and I had a disc in my hand and I threw it perfect. It was like so easy to me somehow. So as I said in the interview after my round, I think even if he played like only at the Sprinkle Valley course, I would have even better of a chance to win this tournament. And yeah, I think even like the golf course, it feels like a regular disc golf more than golf to me. So they are both really good for my game.
What do you do to get out of that funk? So you know you're struggling with from circle 2. Is there anything that you change up? Are you practicing differently? What does that look like?
Yeah, I think it's all about confidence, especially with putting. I think I just told myself to like take my time and take my 30 seconds on every putt and really good, like feel good about myself before putting. And I think it was round 3 when I remembered something about my putt. And it's crazy how it works. Like when you forget one thing about your putting, it's like, what am I doing? And I feel like as soon as I remembered that, I only had like one thing in my mind when I'm putting. It was like to follow through better. And I think after that, like my throwing was so good until that point, so I knew that I was going to have a good chance when I'm putting good.
Did we're speaking of putting, so I have to bring it up. I can't remember exactly what hole it was because they kind of changed some holes here and there. I want to say it was 18, 17, 16, 15, maybe
Was it 14?
Was it 14?
Yeah, I know.
So
Yeah.
so last year you kind of doinked one from super close. And then this year you kind of had a very similar putt. Did that come into your head again of like how talk us through that? Walking up to that putt, are you like, "Oh, this is exactly where I kind of was or this is the same distance I was last year?"
Yeah, for sure. I mean, the upshot was blind, so I knew that I went like past the basket, and I thought that I was going to be like 30 feet or something like that. But then I went there and it was like exactly same distance, same direction and everything as last year. And then I mean, I have been putting pretty good from like C1, so I was not too worried. But I just told myself to take my 30 seconds if I really don't feel good. And yeah. It would have been very sad to miss the same putt twice in a row.
Get that thought out of your idea.
Yeah.
All right, Yuli, I have a question for you. Does anyone throw an overstable flex putter better than this man right here?
No.
I mean, that
It's
shot.
not.
When did you feel like that shot was like dialed in for you? Is that a shot that you've always had, or is that something that you've worked on over the years?
I don't think so. I have been like a high shot flip guy usually, but then I feel like as soon as I came to US, it's more windy. In almost every tournament we have at least some wind for some rounds, and then I realized that throwing like flex lines and like overstable discs, they are like way better in the wind. You can like predict what's gonna happen and stuff like that. And I think as soon as I figure out something, I'm usually pretty good at doing that. And I feel like you end up like 250 to 300 feet of the basket like pretty often. And then I have been just doing the same thing after that. So it's come like through practice for sure.
Yeah, the hyzer flip game, me and you have talked about it a little bit. It's kind of almost dead because just that flex overstable is such a more consistent shot, more reliable, especially like you said in the wind. Talk me through a little bit about the final round because you know Kyle Klein, who some might say might be the best player that people kind of forget about. He's got a 5-shot lead on you. So going into this final round, like what's kind of going through your head? Did you think you needed to shoot 12 under? Like, was that the number in your head that you had to go out and shoot, or what were you thinking?
First off, yeah, Kyle is like he's low key is so good. I think
Very.
I mean he has won a major, he has won I think multiple elite series, but people forget about him for sure. I feel like my game plan was like, of course, every round you want to start good, but when you're like 5 back, you need to start off very hot, and I feel like I was able to do that. I was also like, of course, I started 5 out of first 5, but then I was like parking holes and making good putts in front of him, so he could see like I'm playing very good and I'm feeling very confident. And yeah, I think I'm usually not very good on my free time and like playing practice rounds, and I'm usually at my best in tournaments, and I'm at my very best on the final rounds usually. And I don't think I have had like a good chance of showcasing that in US yet. So yeah, I think that's what I have been doing in Finland and Europe a lot, but I don't think in US too much.
Yeah, I think Kyle Klein is definitely one of those players, but I think you also have been known for people kind of just forgetting, like, wait, this guy's top 10, maybe a top 5 player. I mean, you got second at Champions Cup last year, and I don't think anyone remembers that because everyone was focused on Andrew Presnell, right? Like
Yeah.
Presnell, crazy win, and it's like, wait a second, Niklas was right there at second. So I think winning back-to-back hopefully will definitely kind of boost you and hopefully keep you in the thoughts and minds of a lot of people when it comes to one of the top players on tour. One question I did have is, you went second in the playoff. Jeff Spring flips the coin. You call it correctly. You get to make the call. What's the thought process there? Because I feel like, Yuli, would you go first there and apply pressure if that was you? Or
No,
would you play second?
I would go, just because of the hole, I would go second, because you got a pretty good opportunity of the other player maybe going out of bounds, and that could change your shot selection.
Okay. Was what you were thinking, Niklas?
Yeah, it was 2 things. I think the first one was like the hole was like that in my mind, that I was pretty good at throwing like my PD like pretty far down the fairway. But even if like Kai went OB, I could have like thrown a putter and stayed in bounds and played for par. And then other thing is that I think every time I have went second in playoff, I have won, and only first time when I lost the playoff was when I went first. So
Okay, so
it was kind of a personal thing as well. Yeah,
little voodoo magic there, a little superstition. Yuli, I was hoping that Jomez would have done like the follow flight on both his drives.
Oh my gosh, right?
Because I don't know how far off they were from one another. They look like identical shots.
Yeah, they were perfect. I mean, missed the height of the trees by like just like 2 feet, missed the one tree coming in by like a foot, skipping in front of it. I think the second one did go a little farther though.
Yeah, made it up there a little bit more. Yeah.
I got a question though.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you watch the Jomez coverage, but we do the little like we sprinkle in like our predictions and like how it's going to play off before the round starts. And they asked me like what you would have to do to win the tournament. And I was like, he would just have to like play Niklas golf, which I think is like, you're one of the only players that plays like this, to where it looks like you're playing perfect. It looks like you're just like, you watch other players play, like even a Ricky or even a Gannon, and you see them like miss a couple shots here, but they're still getting birdies. And it seems like you have like this perfection about your game that a lot of people don't have, to where it's easy on the eyes, but it's not overwhelming to the viewer. Like you're not doing anything, you're doing it too good, if that makes any sense.
Makes it look easy.
You make it look so easy, but in a way with like a little flair, it's almost like a class. Like it's like you're doing it, it's easy, but it has like this little mwah on top of it. And like we said, you get the first 5 and still Kyle has the lead. We're not, it kind of goes unassuming that you got the first 5, and then all of a sudden you're in the mix and you guys have the battle. But even through the battle, it looks like you have this little like push putt that you do and your flex lines, and it's always the correct shot, and it's rarely ever offline. And you said you showcase this more in Europe final round, like you're the guy, and you haven't been able to have the opportunity to do it here as much. But what does that come from? Like, where did you learn that from, or have you always just kind of had that?
Yeah, I mean, I used to be like or I still am, I think, like a Paul Macbeth fan, and I used to like watch all of his videos and Joe coverage and all like that. And he used to be like very under control, like stay in the fairway and make your putts type of guy. And it's just like my throwing style is also like I don't throw very far, so I can't really go for like eagles and stuff that often. And it's usually I don't like I don't even we had this like a DCPT media day and they asked like describe your game with one word and I say boring because I feel like I'm playing pretty boring golf
See, that's what
to be
I'm.
honest.
It's if somebody else were to do it like you, it'd be boring.
Hmm.
But when you do it, it's not boring. Am I right,
Yeah.
Brody? Like
No,
when he,
I love. I mean, I think a lot of that has to do with just the way you throw, like the style of throw you
Yeah.
have is a very fascinating style. Because it looks like you almost are about to do the one thing that I always tell, like an ultimate frisbee. I don't know why, but an ultimate frisbee, everyone thinks they have to like
Yeah,
curl the
I
frisbee
know.
into their elbow, and it looks like you're about to do that, and you're like, oh my god, and then you just throw this perfect throw. And yeah, it's a very unique throw. There's no one else that really throws like you.
but
And
it's appeasing.
it's
to
a
the
very
eye.
satisfying. It's very
Yes.
satisfying. It's very satisfying.
What is Germ coined it? Rocking the baby to sleep. Did
Yeah,
anybody-
that's a good
Which
one.
is
It's like
it's like perfect. It's like
I think it's
perfect
the
way to
I think
describe
it's
it.
the tempo is what it is.
Oh, it's like flawless. Yeah, it'd be like watching Freddie Couples play or something.
Yeah,
like,
it's just
like,
very
whoa, this is
very
really nice.
clean. Yeah.
What about
Yeah, it was also like because I play mostly in the woods back home, so
Yeah.
the only way you're gonna like birdie the holes are if you hit the gaps. It's not like if you throw far. So, and I'm usually taking my game plan like I don't really want to like go for too much if I don't really need to. I'm just trying to like play for the best score if that makes sense. So yeah, it's boring, but it works sometimes at least.
It's not boring. Quit saying that. What about I got one more and then I'll let you go, Brody. But what's the confidence level like for somebody like you? Because when you're on the course, it looks like you're very stoic. There's not a lot of emotion at all.
You're
if
also
you
a
hang out-
young cat.
Yeah,
I
very
don't think
young.
a lot of people know how young
which
you are.
which we're watching Kyle Klein play, and every putt he misses and everything, he's just like losing his mind. It seems, but that's his style. You know what I mean? To where
Hmm.
you watch even Gannon or Ricky or Paul, they show the emotion when they make a mistake. But you are kind of like calm and cool the whole time, kind of like Terminator out there. Where's the confidence though up here? Do you think when you're on the course with the Gannons and the Rickies and Kyle Klein and are you like, man, I'm better than these guys. If I play my game, they're done.
Yeah, I really think so. I've always said that you need to like know that yourself before like everybody else knows that you're the best if you wanna be. And I feel like after like playing in the United States for like 3 years now, I have finally seen that I can play with the best, even win when playing against the best. And I think, as I said, I'm pretty good at playing under the pressure usually. So it also helps. And yeah, I don't really remember what is the question, but that's how I think on the course usually.
Yes, I've seen that transition from you, from playing with you in practice rounds and just seeing you on the course when you first were kind of starting. It kind of seemed like, I don't know if starstruck was the right word, but you were definitely like thinking about other people. And now it's like, it seems like you're more focused just on your game. And
Mhm.
you're like, no, I can beat anyone out here. Has that transition just by being around these people and playing with them and seeing the results?
Yeah, I think so. It's also like because everything is not new to me anymore in United States, and I have been here for longer times. It almost feels like when I go to Finland and I play in like Finnish tournaments, everybody is like new to me, like new people and stuff. So it almost feels like
It's opposite now.
I'm at home, yeah, in United States. It's also like mistakes, they drive me crazy. But I feel like I do my best to like keep them inside me and don't show the emotion too much. But Firstly, because I don't want to be like disrespectful to other players, but also like if I'm being too happy about my futures and like too mad about my bad ones, it's gonna like I'm going like this all the time, if you know what I mean.
Mm-hmm.
So trying to stay calm
Why don't you wear a hat?
because I
Yeah,
have a small head.
what
and I
happens
look
if it's
dumb.
sunny? Yeah, what are you doing when it's sunny out there?
I usually get a headache.
From squinting the whole time?
Yeah, maybe I need to use the cowboy hat from now on.
That would be a classic. That'd be sick.
All right, so you've been over in the States for 3 years now. Talk to me about the food. What are some of your favorite spots to grab some grub?
I think Finns love the Chipotle. That's like
Chipotle.
maybe my like number one. I think because it's like you can at least trying to make it healthy for you, like good for you, without taking like sour cream and everything like that. And then I think if I like can choose one place after I win, I could go to like Five Guys.
Ooh, okay.
That's like my favorite burger place. We don't have it in Finland. I think we only have like a couple in Europe, so it's like a rare place. Those are like maybe two of my favorites, I would say.
Have you dabbled in any like the sweets, anything like that? Cookie places or ice cream shops or
Yeah.
Cinnabon, any of those places?
What's the name of the ice cream place? Baskin Robbins?
Baskin
Is that
Robbins.
one? That's my favorite. Yeah, that's my
A
favorite.
lot of flavors at Baskin Robbins.
And also, I like candies. I think that Finnish candies are the best, though. There is some good ones in the US as well. I can't remember what's the brand, but it's like the gummy clusters.
Nerds
Yes.
gummy clusters. Yeah, those
they
are
are
very
good.
addicting. Those are very addicting.
Yes.
I
Yes.
know from personal experience. Talk to me a little bit too. Like, what is it like? You finish. You kind of talked about the crowd, right? In your interview after you won. You were mentioning how like people were cheering you on as you're walking to the tee for the playoff. You really felt like the crowd was behind you, rooting for you. Talk to me a little bit too about having, some of your mates there too. As soon as you win, having all those guys. I'm assuming you guys travel together, maybe Airbnb or hotel together. What's that kind of like creating, a bunch of the European players, Finnish players coming over here? What's that been like?
Yeah, for sure. Firstly about the crowd, it was like I almost felt like I was playing in Finland the last weekend. It was crazy how like people were being on my side all the time and stuff like that. I didn't feel nervous on the final round too much, but then when I heard like people yelling my name before the playoff and I was walking back to the tee pad, I got really nervous because I saw that so many people were like rooting for me. And of course, it's like it's not easy to come here and play. Like you need to be away from home. Like for example, I think Ryan and those guys they're going to be on the road for like 7, 8, 9 weeks in a row. It's really tough. And I know all of those guys they can win as well. They can throw the disc just as good as I can, even better some of the guys. I just think that I'm the best at like playing the game. I don't really think I'm like too good at
Scoring.
like
You're the best
scoring.
Yeah.
Yeah. For example, I'm playing or I'm traveling with Rasmus at the moment, and he throws like 700 feet.
So far.
It's crazy. But yeah, it's not easy to come here. I think that's like the biggest thing, and I think that's why we only have like I think 5 MPO players from Finland at the moment.
It's tough. Did I hear that you have a girlfriend? Did you mention a girlfriend in the interview, or am I just making that up?
Yeah, it's going to be 6 years in like 2 weeks now.
And she's still in Finland? Where is she at?
She has to work back home, so
Okay.
I think she's going to come here soon. Maybe this year or next year, hopefully.
Is she going to European Open or Worlds?
Yeah, I think she's going to like multiple European events, but US it's so far.
How do you play in front of the girlfriend here? Is that a factor, knowing that she's watching, or is that not a big deal?
No, not usually. No.
Okay, no big factor. Okay, fair enough. Yuli, you got anything else for Niklas?
No, I don't think I do.
Well, do you have anything going on? Any disc drop in? Anything like that you want to promote right now while you're on here?
Not really. I have a new jersey coming out, which I was using on the last round.
It's kind of
I
got
actually
like
have
a
a good
rocker
story
vibe
about.
to it, almost like a Metallica.
Yeah, bad boy guy.
Bad boy.
Bad boy, yeah.
Bad boy.
I actually have a good story about that. I was wearing the same jersey I won in last year at the same tournament in the morning, and then I was looking at my new one, and I was like, "This is going to match way better with the cowboy hat." So that's why I had it.
I love
I
that.
also have one question for you. If you,
Yeah, you
if
can say whatever you want, dude.
what do you
heck?
think about Sprinkle Valley Hole 18?
Ooh, okay. We did just talk about it a whole bunch. Do
Oh,
you want Yuli's opinion or my opinion first?
Yuli.
I think that if they cleared up the second landing zone a little bit,
Mm-hmm.
I think it would be the best finishing hole that we have in disc golf. I think that the concept of hard shot off the tee, harder shot, extremely hard shot with the pressure is brilliant. I think that it was really tough to get to your exact spot because of the crosswind that we had. And so you
Mm-hmm.
really had to like push the ceiling on the second shot. And then the ground play wasn't too predictable. And because of that, I
Yeah.
think it took a little away from the hole. I think if they cleared a bunch of that stuff out and made it possible for almost wherever you land to have to take on the green, you'd see bigger scores and you'd see a little more golf being played with pitching up to the right spot, big numbers, all that stuff. So I think it has potential to be one of the best holes that we play, if not the best.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm gonna side with Yuli on this one because I didn't see it in person. From watching it, it looked like I wouldn't change anything because that gap, that second shot gap, looked like it was big enough for people to be able to actually find it. But after listening to Yuli, he's talking about how there's a little bit flukiness there. So I'm with him on that. Like if there doesn't get that cleaned up a little bit, so it's not as fluky. People might think this is crazy. I even think there should be kind of some Mandos because I saw some people going down the right-hand side, clearly missing the gap they were going for and ending up actually being in a good spot, which I absolutely hate. So I could see maybe doing something like that. If you make that gap bigger, maybe make it a Mando. So that way people can't get lucky if they miss it. But I absolutely love it. And I'm hoping you agree too, because I think you're a player as well that actually does a good job of breaking holes down and playing golf, which disc golf is derived from, and not just throwing it as far as you can and trying to get as far down the fairway as possible. And I've always talked about two things. One, shots need to be controlled left and right and front and back. You can't just try to land it left and right, and it doesn't matter if you're 500 feet away or 350. Yeah. And then you also can't have holes where you can throw it 100 feet left or 100 feet right, but as long as you throw it far enough, you're fine.
And the
height, I love that too. And then the forced carry is like we needed more forced carries because that's the only thing that makes us clench our butt cheeks.
And then get rid of the rule where you can just go up there after 4 shots. I want to see some 25s.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the shot from like the second landing zone is like you like should have it every time. It's like 200 feet. Of course, it's blind, but I feel like for MPO it's a good hole. Yeah, I would maybe do some cleaning like in the second landing zone. But I really love the idea of like you really need to like place your drives and not just throw it somewhere and then continue from there. I think for FPO though, I think they would maybe need like a drop zone for like on top of the hill or like by the stairs or something like that. Maybe I don't know, but I think it's a good hole. Like it does some like score separation for sure.
Yeah, and my only take on it, Niklas, was I think it's too. My only thing I didn't like about it was I think it differs too much from the rest of the course.
Yeah.
So we saw people single-handedly like basically blow their chance of winning on that hole. I would much rather see multiple holes throughout the entire course where you can take big numbers, because then I think that levels it out more versus that hole had so much more emphasis on how you played, where I think every hole should have emphasis on how you play it. And I think that just will also, we'll see a crazy amount of disc golf because literally from the first shot, you're having to think, you're having to go through the mental on every hole, every shot, versus a lot of disc golf. It's like, it's almost like brain dead. Like you're not having to think. You're just like, oh, let me just throw this shot that I've thrown 1,000 times. Let me just do it again, do it again, do it again.
Yeah. I think also like that was the only hole when I was thinking like, okay, I can lose the whole tournament on this one hole.
Mm-hmm.
And I think disc golf needs more of that. Like you need to be scared on the tee pad, and it doesn't need to be like easy and go happy type of a game, in my opinion.
Yeah, and if you have a bunch of hard holes, no one's going to play all those holes perfectly throughout the entire weekend.
Yeah.
So if you play one bad hole, you're not dead, like you're not out of it, because you know everyone's going to struggle at some point. If you have like, you know, if you have 10 holes like that and the other 10 or the other 8 are still pretty tough, having one bad hole, you doesn't mean you're completely out of it. You could still go out there and shred.
Mm-hmm.
I also think it by seeing the people who complain about the hole being terrible in the MPO, it shows me that you're not mentally strong for certain situations. Like Niklas already said, no, I want to get on the lead card because that's where I feel the most confident and the most comfortable. That means that he feels comfortable in stressful situations, which means when you get to a shot like that on hole 18, you now have a skill that other people don't. And I believe I have that skill as well. I believe like if the hole's as hard as it can possibly be, I'm a good golfer. I'm in control of what I can control better than most people, and I can dissect my way down the course and actually play golf. And we can't teach that skill to the next generation unless we have it.
Mm-hmm.
And when you see these kids come up who haven't had that, and I mean, we have 2 holes a year where you have to play it, which is 16 at European Open and 17 at USDGC.
Yep.
It's not something that they can even experience. So,
Niklas, if you hear anyone complain about the shot being blind, because you did mention that, just ask them, say, oh, I wasn't aware that the basket moves before your round. Hit them with
That's
that.
True.
Hit
and you
with,
can also,
hit
you can every time you can go long and just go to the like drop zone.
Yeah, the mistake there is throw long, right?
It's one of the first greens that we played to where like the mistake is long. Like make sure you miss long.
Yeah.
Otherwise, if you want to go pin seeking, you can do that too.
Yeah. Hey, trust me, a tap in birdie on that hole is a lot better than a 30-foot birdie putt looking at the OB.
Yeah.
100%.
But it's a lot riskier. It's a lot riskier.
If you're off the fairway, you can always lay up and have like the 200 feet uphill, and every player should have that.
Would you get on those holes both days?
I think first round I bogeyed. I was putting for birdie, and then I missed and went OB, and then second round I birdied. I think I was like 310 feet back, and I went for it.
Oh yeah, that was actually a sick shot. That was with that little. What was that disc? That little red disc.
It's a tactic.
Like
it used to be very overstable, and I have thrown for it like 2 years now, and it's pretty straight.
That thing's flipping.
Yeah,
like
you're
that.
throwing that thing.
If you lose that, you're done, dude.
All right, before you
don't take it.
Yuli's gonna go into your bag before the next tournament. All right, before we let you go, you got any new pet peeves since last time? Anything that grinds your gears?
Yes, I'm glad you asked. Leaning baskets. That's my biggest one.
Wait, were there leaning baskets out there?
There's always leaning baskets.
So yeah, there is always at least one. I feel like it's like so random because if it's like leaning, I almost feel like I'm leaning too. Like I don't know what to do. It's crazy. It drives me nuts. Yeah, that's my biggest one at the moment.
There's there's one hole at one of these local courses. I think it's Greenbelt. It's a uphill hole, so the basket is on this gradient is crazy. It's like a 30% gradient, so it's pretty steep.
Yeah,
and the basket's on it, and over time it's just eroded. So you're usually below the basket putting uphill, and the thing is leaning at you. So like you almost have to make it on the side of the basket because the chains are leaning over the basket. So if you hit the chains, it like drops and won't go in. So you got to like kind of curve it in. Oh man, it's hilarious watching people play that hole for the first time because they get so pissed. But hey, maybe that's something that disc golf needs to make putting more challenging. Is like, let's get some leaning baskets in there.
You need to hit like high right side.
I still want to do. Would you play this tournament if every hole the basket gradually got higher and higher? So the first hole, it's a normal basket. Second hole, it's 1 foot elevated. Third hole, it's 2 foot elevated. So by the time you get to the 18th hole, it's 18 feet elevated. Would you play that tournament? I feel like that'd be a fun tournament.
I would do it only for the fun.
Yeah,
it would be fun for sure. I would do it.
Also, real quick, I gotta say this: the scuba putt was the putt from the drop zone at Sprinkle Valley 18. That is the perfect time to throw a scuba, ladies and gentlemen. It gives you a chance to make it, and it stays in bounds. That's why you learn the scuba right there.
You need to come there next year to show it.
All right, let's not push it, Niklas. Let's not push it. All right.
Okay. My bad.
Congratulations. The Finnish Cowboy, back-to-back, the Open at Allison. When's your next event? Where are people going to be able to see you at?
I'm still thinking about playing. I'm in Jonesboro now. I don't know if I'm going to play or no, but I'm going to be in Nashville for the MCO.
Sure. Love it.
Yeah.
Love it. All right.
Yep.
Well, safe travels, brother. Thank you for coming on. It's always a pleasure talking to you, and congratulations.
Congrats.
Thank you, guys. Have a good one.
The Finnish Cowboy, back-to-back Open at Austin champion, ladies and gentlemen. The dude
he's my favorite player to watch.
He's so fun to watch. I just like when he was talking about his shots, I was literally just like, I have those shots ingrained in my head at the tour championship at Nevin when it's just like, this hole's impossible. And he's just like, like just throwing nasty flex shots through the woods. I'm like, gosh.
Or
dang.
the one hyzer flip late turn with his silly flippy blue roller where he took a 2 on that one.
The dude's good.
Man.
The dude's good. I do want to shout out Kristin, though. Do want to give her a big shout out because Yuli, we talk about it all the time here. Players love making excuses, and she could have easily gone that excuse route and said this hole's broken, this hole shouldn't exist. Because let's be honest, if she would have played that hole like halfway decent, she would have won the tournament by like 5 shots.
Yeah.
So this was her post afterwards. She said, "What a week. Thankfully, I had my waterproof mascara on. Rough moments on the course brought tears to my eyes. All jokes aside, it truly was tough out there for me. I know I have the skills to play hole 18 at Sprinkle Valley much better, but the reality is I didn't. It cost me both days in a row, adding up to a plus 11 on that hole alone. That's something I've never experienced in my career, but I guess there's a first time for everything. This week wasn't tough just because of one hole. I felt like I wasn't as locked in as I was last week, which led to some lazy shots here and there." She kind of continues on. But, I mean, hats off to her for owning it up. And just, we talk about this all the time. We can't expect, now obviously on courses that are super easy, yes, we can expect players to shoot crazy good all the time. But when we start getting tough shots, tough holes, you can't expect people to just play perfectly and well week in, week out. Yep. You're not going to see it. And we saw it here. And I'll reiterate too, unfortunately for Kristin, when she plays bad, she's still on the lead card. So we get to see all her bad shots, all her bad putts, where most players, when they play bad, we're not seeing them at all.
Yeah.
Right. So that's just the kind of the burden she has to have. Anything else with FPO?
Well, yeah, I mean,
I want to give a shout out to Holland.
Of course. Yeah. I was just going to say Holland wins the tournament. And one thing I would like to point out about that is Kristin caught her really early. And it would have been really easy for her to give it all up after blowing a big lead. And then Kristin comes in and wins the tournament. But she battled all the way to the end, came down to the last hole, wins the tournament. So big shout out to Holland. I'm able to close it out because that's tough to do when you have somebody like Kristin who took 2 11s and is still only 2 back of you and gained all those strokes back that quick.
I was getting really nervous when she airballed that putt because on 6. Is it 16? I think it's 16. The par 3 with the bunkers on the left-hand side. Is that 16, Yuli?
That's 16, yes.
Yeah. So she airballs that 15, 20 footer, and she has like a 15, 20 footer coming right back. And I was like, oh my God, we're about to see a collapse. Like, this is like she's about to lose the tournament right here. And she just cashes that in and then was able to kind of bounce back off of that. I do got to give a shout out. Round 3, maybe one of the best 9s we've seen, because that back 9 at Harvey's not easy. That's the harder back 9.
Yeah.
She birdied every hole.
Yeah, that's crazy.
She just caught fire and birdied every hole. So absolutely insane.
And she's the player. I think the player that's gonna really push Kristin right now. She's
needs
always right there.
Yep.
And we saw the nerves get a hold of her again in that round, because
She's got to work on that. She's got to work on that.
It's hard to play with a big lead. I know that it's tough, but I think if hopefully this is the time where she goes, okay, I'm
Screw
winning.
this.
Yeah, let's just crush everybody and win by 10.
Yeah, the two things that I just see as like the weakness of her game right now is like that when it gets tight, some of her shots get tight, some of her putts definitely we see her kind of take a little bit longer time on some of these putts that she normally would just kind of step up and bang. And then her forehand. Got to get that forehand dialed in because she's losing some strokes on that forehand. Just basically her forehand is incredible when she throws it well. It's just her bad shots with her forehand cost her too many strokes. Got to get those bad shots a little bit more dialed in. But yeah, I agree. I think it's very impressive. A lot of people kind of forget she's just kind of bounced onto the scene in 2021. So she doesn't have as much experience in the pro tour or playing at a high level as a lot of these other people. But I think it shows the amount of work she puts in. Definitely shows. And she's definitely going to be someone that continues to push the FPO field.
Yeah.
So congratulations to her. MPO recap. I'm trying to think if there's really anything else. I mean, we talked about Niklas. We talked about Kyle Klein.
I mean, I think a couple big storylines is that I noticed right away over the last few tournaments. One of the biggest ones is Gannon's putt doesn't look the same as last year, and that's the only thing missing.
It's not as consistent, right?
It's not going in with speed. It's he's making a lot of good putts.
He is still making crazy good putts.
Yeah, he's still, probably the best putter, but last year it just seemed like
anywhere
he made it all the time, every time. And we're not seeing that, and that's not why he's not winning. I think that's the real glue that really held his like crazy year last year together. And then
putting solves everything.
AB still has the bugaboo, kind of gets on the lead card, and for some reason,
just lost his juice.
And so those are the two storylines that, as soon as those two get it figured out, it's gonna be kind of on.
I will say though,
and then the fact that Kyle Klein didn't win the tournament is mind blowing.
Yeah, 5-shot lead going to the final round.
If you watch, because he's on coverage a bunch, he missed probably 20 putts in the circle.
So
probably 20.
So he posted on Instagram saying it truly felt like an out-of-body experience around the basket. It felt like no matter how I tried to adjust my putt, nothing felt comfortable. So it was just one of those weekends where it's just like
wild to see somebody hold a lead for that long, throw it that good with that
struggling
with that good of players around you, not make anything, and have the lead every single day. I've never seen anything like it.
Yeah, I mean, he was throwing some insane shots.
If he gets his putt figured out, good luck.
I will say that one more thing to note on AB. The one thing that I did like from him is it didn't seem like he gave up.
Yeah.
There was a couple holes that he definitely could have thrown like a crazy impressive shot to kind of get the crowd riled up, but it seemed like he was fighting for his leaderboard position down that final stretch, even when he didn't have his A game. And I applaud that. I appreciate that because, again, that is what you want to see. Everyone would do that, Yuli, if we were playing for millions of dollars.
Yeah.
no one would be trying to throw these crazy shots to try to like get a rile out of the crowd if there were the difference between 12th place and 15th place was like 50K or 100K.
Mm-hmm.
Right? People are doing that now because it's like, okay, well, I don't really care if I make $1,000 or 800. It doesn't really matter to me. But I appreciate that. I appreciate he didn't give up. He was still trying to advance himself up the leaderboard. So hats off to him for doing that. But yeah, Kyle Klein, impressive performance from him. And obviously Niklas, impressive for him. And again, we got to see some people, some big name people. You know, Simon Lizotte goes second place at Waco, misses the cut here. A couple other big names missing the cut. You know, these courses aren't your typical show up and have a bad day and be able to still score well.
Right.
They're scoreable. Clearly, we saw that from the winners, you know, shooting almost, I think, what did Kyle average? Kyle and Niklas almost averaged 9 down. So obviously still scoreable, but yeah. Ezra Robinson continues to stay hot, man.
Yeah.
4th place, really impressive stuff from him. And Adam Hammis, he was started like a freaking lightning bolt, and then battled back, shooting 11 under the final round to finish in 6th place. So he's having a great down. Selvin Tipton making his way in the top 10. Shout out to him. Paul Macbeth also had a crazy good round to bounce him up into a top 10 finish.
Yeah, beat the field by 5, I think, which you don't see anymore.
Yeah, very, very impressive stuff. And I think the craziest thing for me this season, Yuli, is if you look at some of the top players, right? You look at Gannon, AB, Ricky, Calvin. Who else am I missing? There's one more I'm missing. A top guy. Simon as well. I think you can throw him in there as far as someone that wins a lot. If I gave you those 5 guys and told you not a single one of those guys wins the first 3 events, I think you wouldn't. I think you would be like, no way. One of those guys is going to win one of the events. So interesting stuff. I mean, I think Gannon's going to get his soon. Ricky's going to get his soon. Those guys are too good not to win, but kind of shows you. All right, let's jump into last week pick'em results. Yuli, I have no idea how we still beat the Grip Lock boys. These guys suck at picking.
They're awful.
Because we picked someone that wasn't even in the field, and we still beat these guys.
And a person who got 95th or something.
Well, 91st. So they picked Silva. 4th place, picked up 11 points. They picked Kristin, 18 points for Kristin's 2nd place, and they got 0.5 points for picking Calvin at 10th place. So they got 29.5 points. All of ours were with Gannon and Kristin. We got 18 points for Kristin and 15 points for Gannon, giving us 33 points. That gives us a lead of 76 points to 36.8 points. No tournament this upcoming weekend, so we have no picks this upcoming weekend. But Yuli, we got to lock in, man. We cannot be picking people that aren't playing the tournament.
We can, though. That's the thing.
I mean, I guess against these guys.
It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. We could do the Ouija board where we just like go over and just be like, let's pick this person. All right, a couple questions and then we're out of here. Do PGA pros criticize the course they play, or are they just focused on beating the other guys? Seems like since disc golf courses are so easy to rework, everyone becomes a course designer in the practice rounds. Seems unbecoming of professionals. I'll say it happens a lot less in golf, but a lot of that is because they've had years and years and years to kind of work out the kinks. They're playing on courses that have been established and been around for decades. They're playing on courses that have had tons of history.
They don't have a lot of flaws.
but the Players Championship that just happened, they planted a tree, moved a tee pad, and the tree was kind of in the way a little bit. And that was something that players noted. Now, did they complain and cry and say, no, take this out? No. But have I seen that before at US Open? Yeah. Especially most of it with golf is the rough and the greens.
Yeah.
When they get the greens rolling at a certain speed and players just feel like they can't stop the ball on the green, or players are feeling like the putting is just impossible, that's where you see it mostly in golf. But it's done in a way that like makes sense. Disc golf, a lot of times you just have players complaining, man. They just complain to complain. And they don't even know what they're complaining about.
Brody, I think you and I should just design a course
Okay.
for disc golf. Whoever's out there and you're a billionaire and you have a piece of property with 1 billion trees and you're willing to plant some grass and do whatever we tell you with the property, let us go there. And then we can have like 3 big tournaments there a year, nice camera work, beautiful greens.
I've always said this about it.
If you and I paired up for it would be a tough course, but I think people would love
Fair.
it.
It'd be fair.
And here's the thing. Other people who think that we're just talking crap would love the course.
Yeah.
I know it.
I think if I ever did get involved in designing a course, I've said this. I don't want to be like the blueprint guy. I don't want to be like, let me figure out this hole. Let me figure out.
I'll do that.
You set up all the holes and then let me get a look at them and be like, hey, let's put OB here. Let's put Hazard here.
Yep.
Let's put Amando here. That's what I like.
Bunker.
But
let's
yeah.
put Bunter right here to where
But
you can
I don't-
just throw
I-
as many times as you want.
I don't trust myself at like just getting land and being like, make a good course. I think that's your specialty. I
don't even know if it's my specialty. Never done it, but I think I could do.
I think you could do it. I think you've played enough to you could do it. I think I'd be terrible at that. I saw multiple players, including Kristin, using a rangefinder from the ideal landing spot in 18. Blew my mind that they wouldn't have already dialed that in. You know, I think for a shot like that, Yuli, I'm fine with them being like, okay, it's 195 or it's 210. Because like you do need to know the distance to the front edge.
I also think that they need to get rid of rangefinders on the course during competition.
We got to have better markings then on the course, or we have to have
sure.
better caddy books.
You just need a caddy to go out and get your distances.
Yeah, but they got to have distances on the course. The caddy can't be
Yeah.
like walking it off. I mean, I guess they could shoot with rangefinders.
You just get a rangefinder and you'd be like, okay, right here, this number, put it in your little caddy book.
Yeah. It's just, it would be so much helpful. Like, I think they did that at, what was the Champions Cup course? What was that one called?
Jackson?
Yeah, I think they had that at Jackson with those
They did.
trees. Was like 200, 250. That's awesome. That's really good. All right. What is with goofy putting styles with pros? Ali Smith in FPO is just the latest example. Is
The
it
flutter
too,
putt.
is it too hard for women to just put in some putting work? Yuli, you take this one.
Well, I think there's a few things that are
For those,
tough.
talk about what her putting style was for those that did see it.
She's putting like from 20 feet or 15 feet like this, and then doing this move, and it's
End over end.
end over end, and making it. I'm not sure, honestly. I think one of the big things is with how deep the rim is. I'm guessing it's smaller hands and it's tougher to putt. It just is.
Don't look at Owen Scoggins.
Well, there's always going to be one-offs, but I mean, if you take all the way across the board, like it's probably easier for somebody with bigger hands to putt and to have leverage over the putter. It's like having when you give a little kid a disc right away and you tell him to putt, he can't get all the way, or she can't get all the way under the rim, and so it's tougher.
Makes
you know
sense.
what I mean? I think that's one of them. I also think that like putting is such a. I think the fundamentals of putting have been like misconstrued over generations to where people don't actually know what a good putt is. And I think you have to be able to have like those fundamentals kind of dialed down, and it's more of leverage and a mental cue than it is an actual stroke. So there's a lot of things. I think there needs to be more coaches that can work with players and them actually listen. Development early on needs to happen. Like you need to be doing the right things early. That way you gain momentum and you gradually become a better putter. I mean, I could go on and on and on, but the biggest tip I could give anybody for putting is keep the leverage in front of the putt. That's it. So don't let have wherever you're going to release it, stay ahead. That
Mm.
drives the putt. And then you have control over where you release. People get behind like this, and then it's really hard to like, this is what I see in the FBO, like over here, around, and then you're kind of guessing.
Yeah, watch Gannon, watch AB. Those two guys, they drive with the elbow. They drive with the elbow first, and then the elbow snaps with the wrist.
I think the elbow actually stays in place for the most part with those guys.
Well, they finish with a straight arm.
Yeah, but I mean, like it's already kind of in place.
Oh, it's not going this way.
Yeah, it's not. It's
Yes.
not coming up. It's like
staying
kind of
on
stationary, and then you're coming
Yes.
with this. Yeah.
Yeah, it stays on the plane versus I see what you're saying of like FPO. Some players like rotate.
Yeah, they're rotating
opening
with it.
Yes, which
Yeah.
is scary. All right, final question here. Disc Golf Pro Tour had a contest for Austin practice round with Matty O. If you follow and tag friends, I've entered these contests a few times over the years, and I've never seen a winner announced. Would have been pretty hard on Matty O, but it feels like a scam. Thoughts? Oh, I love a good conspiracy theory.
Let's read it again.
So he's claiming that the Disc Golf Pro Tour has had a contest for one of the Austin practice rounds with Matty O. All you had to do was follow the Disc Golf Pro Tour, I'm assuming on Instagram, and tag some friends to be entered in this contest. He said he's entered in multiple contests, and he said he's never seen a winner announced. So he's now conspiracy theory thinking that this is a scam and the Disc Golf Pro Tour is just doing this to get a bunch of engagement, but they never pick anyone to actually win.
I feel like that's false.
I mean, it'd be wild.
You probably should announce who wins, though.
When you have a giveaway, you gotta announce who wins.
Or when like I do a giveaway, I say I will DM the person.
Yeah, and it also helps too if they like get the prize or something. Because like, wouldn't the Disc Golf Pro Tour post photos of, or at least a photo of Matty and the person that won?
Well, I'm sure they'd have to ship it out because the engagement's coming from somebody in a long ways away.
Ship out what?
Well,
they're gonna pick. You get to play with get to play a practice round with Matty O. So they got the winner has to be the winner has to be someone in Austin that's going to be there.
And then they're saying nobody got to play with Matty O.
Well, what I'm saying is if actually someone won, why wouldn't the Disc Golf Pro Tour like have a photo, at least post on your story being like the winner of the Matty O practice round challenge, and it's like a photo of Matty O and the guy or the girl.
Yeah, I think so. If you're explaining
conspiracy theory
like that, yeah.
Conspiracy theory, throwing it out there. We'll see. Last thing I got, Yuli, I got to give a shout out to Gavin Phillips. He made an ace back-to-back days. That's crazy.
Yeah,
that's crazy, man.
Yeah,
it's crazy to get an ace in a tournament
and
round.
He made the cut, and he cashed.
It's crazy to make it back-to-back days.
And I think he was 4 under, and he made the cut by 4 shots. Kind of cool.
Oh, there you go. It was very, very important. Very important.
Very important.
You got anything else? Did we miss anything?
Mad Dog says 100% a scam. I like that. I like that, Mad Dog.
Mad Dog not messing around. Did we miss anything? Is there anything else you want to chat about?
I don't think so, man. I think
it was a good show.
I love talking with Missy. I love talking with Niklas. I want to see Niklas just dominate for a stretch. You know what I mean? I think it'll be tough, but could you imagine if he just wins like, I don't know, 3 out of the last like 6?
Do you think his personality would change?
No.
You think he would just stay the same?
Yeah. I mean, he's the best player ever from Finland. So he would already be changed.
I'm just saying I wouldn't mind seeing a little bit more flair from the guy. I could see that. I could see that come out when he starts feeling himself. I could see that potentially.
Okay, I got you. So
see what I'm saying?
Yeah. He feels a little more confident.
Yeah, he's been there before. He's done it. I could see a little, because there are people like that when they first come onto the scene. They're like super stoic. They don't talk a lot. You don't get that much from them.
Yeah.
And then once they start getting a little bit more comfortable, they start opening up. I could see him getting a little. I could see him getting a little more juice. You know, like turning to the crowd and getting them involved after a sick putt or something. Because he has it in there. We saw it once he made the putt on 18.
Yeah, both times.
He doesn't do the like, oh, thank you, and just walk up and, he shows that. And so it's just like, do we get to see a little bit more of that in the future?
Yeah.
So
I don't know. With AB, we saw it like he's all stone cold the whole time.
Yeah, he hasn't really changed all that much.
Mm-mm.
But I also don't know if he's still like terrified as he's going down the stretch, even though he shouldn't be. He's won so much. But yeah, good week. Big thanks to both our guests, Missy and Niklas, coming on. Great talking to them. It was a fun one too. Sprinkle Valley hole 18, whether you liked it or not, it brought a lot of discussion to the table. People talking about it. People hopefully pushing the envelope when it comes to course design. That is something that I think drastically needs to happen to make disc golf more enjoyable to watch, more entertaining. Again, you got to remember, if you're listening to this podcast, you are a sicko. You love disc golf. You're a sicko. You're listening to a podcast that's talking about it. How do we tap into the people that are just like casual? That's what really we're looking for here when it comes to course design. We're looking to tap in to the person that's like, oh, I might need to start watching more disc golf. So just keep that in mind. But Yuli, great show. Appreciate it. We're going to potentially, I'm not going to put 100% certainty on it, but we're potentially going to have a producer next week, which I'm excited about. So
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that about this because everybody can't hear me.
So we will. Yeah, I know. And there's only so much I can do over here. But thank you guys so much for listening, for watching live. And if you're listening on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or anything like that, we appreciate you guys. Thank you so much. It's always fun coming on here and talking some disc golf with you, Lee, and I can't wait to do it again next week, brother.
See ya.
All right. I think we
successfully uploaded, it says.